Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm Adam Dennis, and today I want to talk about something that is stirring up quite a bit of debate, especially if you're in the trucking or logistics world, and that is these buyouts that UPS is offering to some of their union drivers. Now, anytime you bring up unions, you're going to get a wide range of opinions. Some folks see them as the backbone of the American worker, while others blame them for pushing companies right into bankruptcy. So I figured today we'd break it down, talk about UPS and what scabs actually mean, and how some union heavy companies are doing or how they've ended up, and throw in some thoughts on Walmart and even the Postal Service for good measure. So buckle up, or maybe fasten your seatbelt in that parcel car, because we're going for a bit of a ride. Let's start with UPS. They're currently offering voluntary severance packages, basically buyouts, to certain long-term drivers who are represented by the Teamsters Union. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a sweet deal, right? Here's a pile of money, you get to retire early, but you gotta wonder, why is UPS doing this? A lot of it boils down to costs. UPS pays some of the highest wages in the industry, and even more than some lawyers make. Over $100,000 a year for seasoned drivers, with benefits included, thanks in large part to those union contracts. Meanwhile, competitors like FedEx rely on independent contractors, and Amazon's using gig workers and delivery service partners, paying nowhere close. So UPS is looking to slim down its payroll, but that also means some of these union jobs, once considered untouchable, aren't quite as safe as they used to be. It's also worth mentioning again that UPS is eliminating thousands of jobs as their Amazon partnership is dissolving. Now, anytime you talk about unions, you're going to hear the term scab. If you didn't grow up around union-heavy areas, a scab is basically someone who crosses a picket line, someone willing to work during a strike. Unions throw that word around almost like a slur. It's meant to shame or isolate people who keep the businesses running while union members are out protesting. But here's the thing. In some cases, these so-called scabs are literally saving the company from going under and preserving what jobs remain. That's a pretty uncomfortable truth that doesn't fit neatly into union slogans. Then again, most people want to hear what they want, not facts. Let's look at a few examples. ABF Freight is still around. They have Teamsters like UPS, but they've had some close calls with strikes. Then there's Yellow Corporation. Remember them? One of the oldest trucking companies in America, over 90 years old, heavily unionized with Teamsters, and, well, not anymore. They filed for bankruptcy. 30,000 jobs were wiped out practically overnight. Their trailers are still rolling around after they've been auctioned off, but now you'll see them hooked up to other companies' tractors. And it's not just trucking. Think about Bethlehem Steel. At one point, it was the second largest steel producer in the country. Union labor was strong, benefits were rich, retirements were generous, but they couldn't adapt to global competition, rising costs, or modern efficiencies. They filed for bankruptcy in 2001 and liquidated. Thousands lost their jobs, and entire communities hollowed out. And unless you've been living under a rock, you know about the UAW. Now, I'm not saying the union alone killed these companies. There's always more to it. Management, market shifts, cheap imports, etc. But the rigid contracts, inability to modernize work rules, and huge pension obligations certainly didn't help. Now, on the flip side, look at Walmart. Walmart has a reputation for being extremely anti-union. They actually have a special rapid response team. If they even sniff a hint of employees talking about organizing a union, they'll fly people out, hold meetings, coach managers on how to squash it, legally of course, and shut it down fast. Why? Because Walmart knows once a union's in, costs go up, flexibility goes down, and the company loses control over scheduling and operations. The company has been accused of shutting stores down to avoid a union. Then you've got the irony with government workers. A lot of federal employees can't unionize the same way private sector workers do. They have associations or bargaining units, but strikes in certain collective bargaining on wages are off limits. Except the Postal Service. The USPS is heavily unionized. They have multiple powerful unions, the APWU, NALC, you name it. They negotiate contracts for pay, benefits, work rules, and we all know how efficient the Postal Service is, right? You can draw your own conclusions there. So look, I'm not saying unions are the root of all evil. There's a time and a place. They've given us safer workplaces, stood up for workers facing real exploitation, and sure, it was Henry Ford who kicked off the 40-hour work week back in the 1920s. He cut hours to keep workers happy and ensure they could actually afford the cars they were building. But it took union pressure to push Congress to lock it into law nationwide in 1938 so companies couldn't just roll back. Of course, some industries still run folks 40 to 60 hours, while others cap employees at 39 hours just to dodge benefit requirements. But hey, that's a topic for another day. These days, it feels like unions are often more focused on protecting the highest seniority folks, rigid work rules, and pensions that might not even exist by the time younger workers retire. Meanwhile, companies like UPS and ABF are under pressure from non-union competitors paying a fraction of the cost. At the end of the day, when the bills can't be paid, it's not the union that goes bankrupt, it's the company, and all the jobs that go with it. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. I'd love to hear what you think. Are unions still the backbone of the American worker, or have they priced themselves out of the modern world? Shoot me a message in the comments. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll catch you next time.